Welcome to our workshop titled Setting Children and Youth Up for a Successful Return to School. We're happy that you are here. My name is Fauna Blanco, and it is a pleasure to have been able to prepare this presentation for you alongside my colleague Jasmine Velasco. We both work as parent and family engagement specialists under the Department of Equity, Access, and Instructional Services. In our work, we aim to support families by helping them with understanding and navigating the school system, offering educational and leadership opportunities, and connecting families to resources and tools within and outside our district. We hope that during the course of this school year, we can connect through these various services and opportunities. The purpose of today's workshop is to provide practical tips and strategies to support you in preparing your children and youth up for a successful return to school. Now, to kick off our topic, I would like you to take a moment to reflect on the following question. What words come to mind when you think or hear the word resilience? For me personally, the words or phrases that come to mind when I hear or say the word resilience are strength, being able to move forward even when we have lived through something difficult. I invite you to keep the words or even the images that come to mind in the forefront as we share this presentation. Thinking that the end of summer has arrived and the time to go back to school is here can be very stressful and even challenging at best, right? Now that we are going back to school in person after what we have collectively experienced with COVID-19, it can be even more difficult. The good news is that our resilience allows us to bounce back, and there are many things that we can do to help our children and youth in our lives to return to school stronger. I'll share a phrase as food for thought about resilience to explore this a little bit more. Building resilience in children is not about making them tough. Resilience is defined as the ability to recover from difficulties and manage how you feel. Keep in mind that resilience refers to one's ability to bounce back from adversity. When faced with a difficult life event, for example, the sudden loss of a loved one, resilient people can successfully cope with or adapt to the associated stress. Developmental psychologists agree that some children develop resilience through a natural process, while others need help. However, this does not mean that those who need a little help will be less resilient over time compared to their peers. It is important for parents and family members to remember that building resilience depends on many factors and can take some time. Finally, a child's expression of sadness and or emotional distress, particularly after a traumatic event, is normal. So, we hope that as we share some return to school tips, we keep in mind how we as caregivers can help build resilience in the children and youth. With these challenging and uncertain times, how do we as parents and caretakers feel? What analogy can describe how some of us may be feeling? Do some of you feel paralyzed like deer in headlights? What kind of questions do you still find yourself asking? Are you asking what to do? How do we move forward? How do we help our kids? During our time together, we will be sharing some tips for a successful return to campus. Some of your children may have returned last school year for hybrid instruction, so you have already have some lessons that you can learn from as well. Some of these tips that we will be discussing are how to make an informed decision, live your decision, communicate confidence, practice the routine, and finally, not to give up. Many of us may have questioned whether or not sending our children back to school physically is the best decision for our family. I'm sure all of us have some anxieties about our decision. However, whatever decision we make, it should be one that is informed for the benefit of our children. To do that, we recommend getting information from your school or district in regards to the instructional programs available to our children. Also, learn what safety and health protocols are in place, and with that information, weigh the pros and cons regarding your child's learning and health needs, regarding your family's health needs, and implications to extended family living within the household. Above all, we need to stay flexible as things can continue to change. Regardless of the decision made and the varying opinions around us, we have to live our decision. And the best way to do that is by preparing, because this will help us feel confident when the day arrives. Figure out your before and after school routines and plan to iron out any issues you foresee coming up. Some ways that will help us live out our decisions to better support our children is to take care of ourselves. This can look like what we have been doing or may have been doing during this challenging time. For example, take it week by week. Don't look too far ahead. Limit your news intake and start or keep up a physical activity routine. Also, practice mindfulness or other self care activities. Make sure to stay socially connected. And finally, focus on what you can control. If we do not take care of our own mental health and manage our own anxiety, it will send mixed messages to our children. So we need to remember to talk to a friend and make a pact to support each other. Use calming strategies when things get tough, like taking slow, calming breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Write down your reasons for sending your children to school as a reminder of why, and practice self compassion. Take a look at this diagram. What is it telling us? Is if, as parents, we demonstrate fear, our children will fear as well. We cannot message or communicate confidence if we ourselves are messaging fear. Can you think of some of the mixed messages that we may be giving off or communicating to our children? How can you change that type of messages? Let's see some examples of how we can manage our anxious inside voice so that our messaging is less anxious when using our outside voice. This is a list of our inside voice. This may be what we are thinking. Be careful. Wash your hands. Stay away from other kids. Don't breathe too much. Maybe we should just stay home today. I'm scared of getting sick. Now, this is a list of our outside voice. So instead of speaking our anxious inside voice, try using these outside voice instead. The teachers and doctors have done a good job to make sure that school is safe. You might feel a bit nervous at first, but you will feel so much better after you've gone to school the first day. New things are hard, but I know how brave you are. Won't it be exciting to see your friends? When I go to the grocery store, I wash my hands and wear a mask, and these things help keep me safe. Gradually get back into the school year structure and routines. Bring up the topic that summer is coming to an end and that school will be restarting. Talk about routines. You might say, hey guys, with COVID-19, you've had a lot more screen time than usual, but now that school is starting up again, we're going to go back to our old routines. Talk about changes to your daily routine, like set up a bedtime and or a wake up time, and try to move it closer to what it should be for the school year. Set a screen curfew, which is a downtime after which point there are no more screens. For example, maybe 8 to 9 p.m. for school age kids and 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. for high school age kids. Consider posting a family calendar with the school start date marked down to help your family see how many days are left until school starts. Talk about changes to their social routine. Ask about what routines should continue. What new COVID-19 routines would they like to continue during the school year? For example, maybe regular family walks after dinner, or family dance night, or family game night. Write down the new school year schedule, and we'll show you a schedule on the next slide. And then finally, talk about changes to practical routines. Try visiting the school campus. Talk about mask wearing for longer periods of time. And also prepare backpacks, materials, and screening protocols. Now, here is a sample schedule that you may use as a guide to create a visual schedule that works best for your family. In this schedule, it's 7 a.m. wake up time, 8 a.m. leave for school, 8:40 to 3:30 school, 3:45 arrive home, make sure you wash those hands, 3:45 to 5 p.m. homework time, 5 to 6 might be family dinner time, 6 to 8 free time, which means non-educational electronics only allowed on Friday and Saturdays maybe. 8:30 p.m. screen time finish, bedtime routine starts, and then 10 p.m. lights out. Try to make the first week back to school as smooth as possible for the entire family. Leave earlier than usual. Whether you are driving or if children are walking on their own or being picked up by the bus, this will give you more flex time. If you work, consider working a shorter day on the first day back so that you can drop and pick them up on the first day until they get used to their new routine. Establish a goodbye routine. When it's time to say goodbye to your child, give them a final hug, a kiss, and say goodbye. And talk about pickup plans. That's very important. Try to take some time just for yourself too, whether it's going to go for a walk, to the coffee shop, have a tea with a friend, or just going home to take a nap. Breathe a sigh of relief and savor this time. Check in with your children about how the day went. If your child isn't ready to talk, then ask them later when they are ready. You might ask, how did your day go? How did it go with wearing your mask and keeping away from people? What was hard? What was easy? If they are sad, validate the sadness. I can see you are feeling sad, and it's okay. It's okay to cry. I'm going to miss you too. Offer comfort like giving them a hug or offering them a tissue. Your children may push back and have a difficult time getting back on track. Don't give up because children and teens will be anxious about returning physically to school. Remember that anxiety is normal and necessary. It makes us want to avoid situations. It gives us uncomfortable physical symptoms. But when we continue to face difficult things, our anxiety goes down eventually. At the end of all our efforts, things may just not go as planned. So if they don't, do not hesitate to reach out for support. Reach out to your child's school. Do not wait for your school to contact you. If you have a concern, communicate with your child's school. Your neighbors and your friends, reach out to them. Someone else taking your child to school or walking with a friend is often very helpful. Also, you can reach out to student services for mental health support. Make a plan. If your child is struggling with in person classes, coordinate with the school on a good plan to slowly increase a child's time at school if they are struggling to return in person. For example, maybe visit the outside of the school or plan for 30 minutes at school to start and slowly increase time. Make sure it's really boring at home, right? So if they only have to do their chores, no Wi-Fi during school hours, no special outings, have them do their schoolwork, maybe they'll be more willing to go to school. And remember, part of the phrase we shared in the beginning of our time together, building resilience in children is not about making them tough. How we respond and support their needs will help them build resilience and be able to face challenges while diminishing their anxiety. We'd like to share our website and books that families can explore with their children to support them with anxiety. The first one is Linwood Unified's Mental Health Resources website, where you will be able to find essential resources and support services for students and families as needed. Please check out the description below to access the link. The next two are books we would like to recommend. The first is titled What to Do When You Worry Too Much, A Kid's Guide to Overcoming Anxiety by Dawn Hubner and illustrated by Bonnie Matthews. The second book is titled Treating Childhood and Adolescent Anxiety, a Guide for Caregivers written by Eli Lebowitz and Haim Ulmer. As we come to an end of our time together, we ask you to reflect on the following question. What will you do differently tomorrow based on what you learned today? We'd love your feedback. Please take a moment to tell us your needs. Every participant who completes the survey will be entered in a drawing for a special prize. Access the survey by scanning the QR code below with your smartphone camera. We will contact the drawing winners via email. Thank you for your time with us. Please feel free to contact us at engagingfamilies@mylusd.org for any questions that you may have about today's presentation or any other needs you may have that we may be able to support you with.